Edward is a kind old engine. He may not be as big or as strong as some of the others, but he is still very useful. Edward mostly helps out with shunting. But when other engines need help up hills, Edward is there to push. However, not all of the engines appreciate Edward for his efforts, and like to tease him. How's it going, old iron? Do some harder work, why don't you? Edward was resting in a siding. Geoffrey was pulling a long goods train. He stopped at the platform. Hello there, Edward. Oh, hello, Geoffrey. I see you've got quite the train there. Yes, quite. Could I bother you for a push? Oh, it's no bother at all, my dear engine. Let's go then. Thank you. The two engines started up the hill. They were about halfway up when there was a loud crack. The train came to a halt. Oh dear! What was that? Edward, are you alright? Oh, I believe I may have strained myself a bit too hard. One of Edward's pistons had broke. He couldn't move on his own. Oh. The train was brought back down to the bottom of the hill. Duck came to help. He shunted Edward into a siding. Then he went to go help Geoffrey. Don't worry, Edward. I'll be back soon. He came back and took Edward to the works. That evening, the Fat Controller called some of the engines to Knapford. Edward is out of action. He will not be back for several days, so I need you all to help fill in for him. Percy, you will be filling in for him in the yard. Of course, sir, said Percy. James, you shall be the banker for other engines until Edward returns. But why me? James asked. Is there a problem, James? No, sir. Very good. Percy very much enjoyed helping in the yard. It was fun to bump the cars about the sidings. James, however, was not having fun at all. He hated having to push the heavy trains. It was very hard work, and James wondered how Edward could manage so easily. While Edward was being repaired, he wondered if the other engines even missed him. They're probably glad I'm gone. But they weren't. Percy was beginning to feel overwhelmed with doing Edward's work on top of his own, and James was worn out from all the pushing. The other engines were upset too. They missed Edward for all of his good stories and hard work. Perhaps we were too rude to Edward. What if he doesn't want to come back now? I hope he does. The engines were nervous. Another few days passed, and the engines kept thinking about Edward. The night finally came when the engines were in the sheds and heard a familiar whistle. Edward pulled into the yard. The engines were ecstatic. Edward was surprised. Why do you all look so happy? Why wouldn't we be? We've all missed you, Edward. Edward was overjoyed. The engines all apologized to Edward and told him how lucky they were to have an old, wise engine like him.